To cut through all the discourse, your label is for you. It's not for anybody else. You should be using your gender and sexuality labels to help you best understand who you are, who you're attracted to, what you feel about your gender, and not to police other people. You do not have control over what anybody else thinks and feels in their own body.
Sleepy is a mutual of mine. Please go watch her video. She's tagged. Watch the entire thing. I want to talk about this from the perspective of a straight presenting human being, cisgendered presenting human being. I don't know what it means to be a man. I can say this with relative confidence. I have always felt somewhat safe or comfortable in my own biology, whatever that means. I have not always felt comfortable in my own skin, having grown up 150, 170 pounds overweight. Something that I didn't reasonably correct until I was 40 years old. I don't know what it means to be a man. I don't know what it means to be a woman. I can wrap my head around things traditionally labeled as masculine or things traditionally labeled as feminine. I have only ever sought to be comfortable in my own skin. As an autistic person, as a person with OCD rumination, like these are questions that are constantly stuck inside my head, especially as a father of, I have a queer child and I have a queer stepchild, both of them trans questioning, right? They're gonna figure it out. They're gonna figure it out authentically. I want every human being to be able to be their most authentic selves. I want them to have absolute, unquestioned equity under the law. But very often, in my desire to demonstrate allyship, I have been told that I'm not doing enough because I can't wrap my head around the 9-tiered label that someone wants to describe themselves. That at the end of the day, for me, in the way that my brain does its very best to understand those things, I just go like, I don't know that it's this serious. I don't know that it's this deep. And it often feels, like Sleepy said, someone trying to find language that helps them understand themselves, that they then seek to hold others to a very, very firm grip. You must also understand me precisely this way. And again, as someone that thinks all human beings deserve absolute, unquestioned dignity as human beings and equity under the law, this is where I believe, at the very least, I can only speak for myself, but I do believe that a lot of people that seek to be allies are often raked over the coals because they can't understand these things. Communication is difficult because too many people believe that communication is, I've expressed an idea and you have heard that idea, and if you don't understand it precisely how I mean it, you are doing so intentionally. That is not what communication is. Communication is you have these abstractions in your head. You then try to find the language. If you possess the language, you then try to find the language to articulate that. You then express that language. You hope that the other person's ears can hear your language. They then have to use their interpretation of language to deconstruct that into their own abstractions. This is why literally just having a back and forth conversation with another human being is like playing the telephone game. As human beings, there are too many spaces where we need to allow a little bit of grace for others, and we need to make sure we are looking at them from a perspective of, they may not be able to truly hear me for what I'm saying, but in their heart of hearts, do they understand the types of things that I mean? And you might say, aren't those the same thing? And they are not. They are not the same thing. Because, not to sound hokey, but on a vibrational sort of universal level, are they a good human being that truly does have your best interests at heart? And are you pushing them away simply because they're not using the right language? And I think far more often, as someone that, again, I would describe myself as straight because that is the language that society uses. I would describe myself as a cisgendered man because that's the language society uses. But at the end of the day, like, I don't even know what the hell that's supposed to mean. I am a bag of dust and minerals and universal components somehow experiencing itself And I feel like there are so many more important things. And I understand when you've lived your life not feeling comfortable in who you are, because I have had that experience in my own way. I want to be very clear. It's very different from the way that, LGBTQ people at large have had that experience. But I have had my own version of that experience. And that was hard enough for me. But we need to be better at understanding the nuances of how people understand their own world and offer a little bit more grace.